Okay, so we talked about yesterday how to graph linear function, finding the y and x intercept, so finding 2 points, the y and x, and then graphing the line, or doing a table of value and graphing the line. Are we okay with that? All right. Now the third way that you can graph linear function is by using the y equal mx plus b format. Okay, so remember there's two formats for linear function, and one of them y equal mx plus b. Okay, so where y is by itself, you have the equal sign, a number times x plus or minus a number. Now, m represents, probably I should write this right here. I'm just going to write it on the line, okay? M represents the, I heard you guys, the slope. The slope. What does the slope mean? When I say the word slope, what does that represent? The incline of the line. So if you're thinking about stairs, right, and you're looking at the incline of the stairs, right, so how steep are these stairs, or how steep is the hill, right? We're talking about the same thing here with the steepness of the line, okay? So M is the slope, which means the steepness of the line, and B is the, what does B represent? It represents the y-intercept. That's why we call it slope y-intercept form. Okay? So M represents the slope, B represents the y-intercept. Now, how do you plot a line like this? First thing you're going to have to look at, the y-intercept. You're going to plot the y-intercept, and then you're going to use the slope, which is rise over run. How many of you remember this? That the slope is rise over run to complete the graph. So we're going to look at this method, and we're going to look at what does rise over run mean. Okay? So if I'm going to tell you if I'm going to give you directions to go up stairs, there's no upstairs here, but to go up 2 level and then 1 block over, for example. Right? I'm telling you to go up. Up means to rise, and then to run horizontal. Okay? That's the same thing when we're talking about a line. So if I have a line, don't draw this. So if I have a line, right, I can look at 2 points, and I can describe how much did it go up by and how much did it run by. That's what rise over run mean. And that describes the slope of my line. Okay? So you're always looking at 2 points on the line. You're looking at how much did it go up by, which we say that this is our rise. And then we look at how much horizontal did it go, which is your run. Okay? But the important part is to have your equation in y equal mx plus b format. Okay? So let's look at this example. I have 3x plus 2y equals 4. Is this in a y equal mx plus b format? No. Is y by itself? No. So I have to make y by itself. What's the first thing that I want to get rid of? So the first thing that you want to get rid of is the 3x. Okay? You want to move it to the other side of the equality. Okay? To leave the y by itself. So I have 2y equal, when I move 3x over, it becomes negative 3x plus 4. Anyone doesn't understand this step? So I moved the positive 3x to the right, and it became negative 3x, because the opposite of positive is negative. Then, is y by itself? Not yet. It's still multiplied by 2.
Why does the 3 go in front of the 4?
Just because I want to have something x, I want the x term to be first. That's why. So I want the x term to be first. That's why I put it here. And then the 4 is a positive 4, right? So that's why it keeps its positive.
But you always have to put the 3x in front of
Yes, you always have to put the x term first. Okay? In order, because your equation you want the equation to look like this. Right? So you want the x term to be first and then the constant. What's the opposite of positive 3? It's negative. Whenever you cross a bridge, you cross the equal sign, I call it the bridge. Whenever you cross the equal sign, you're going to change your sign. Okay, or change your operation, I should say. This is a positive 3x, right? So when you move it over to the other side of the equality, it becomes negative 3x.
And if it was negative, you make it positive.
Exactly.
And that's always changing its signs when it goes over the equal sign.
Yes. You're changing the operation, right? Instead of adding, you're subtracting. Okay? Now, what operation do you have between the 2 and the y? Multiplication. What's the opposite of multiplication? Division. So when I bring that 2 over to the other side, it's going to become division, right? So to get rid of that 2, I'm going to bring it over to the other side, and then that's basically going to divide each term by 2. So you're going to have to ask yourself, what operation is happening? What kind of operation do I have so I can do the opposite when I bring it to the other side of the equality? You can, but then the reason why I do it this way is because I want you to understand that this one is also divided by 2, and this one is also divided by 2. So you can simplify, right? Because look what happens here now. This part doesn't change, right? It's negative 3 over 2x, right? Because I can't simplify. But this one can simplify to 2. And I just want you to see that. Division. No, it becomes, you're changing the operation from multiplication to division. That's it. Okay? It's multiplied by 2. To get rid of the multiplication by 2, you want to divide by 2. Right? You don't divide by negative 2. You divide by positive 2. Okay? You're already changing your sign from multiplication to division. Okay? So my equation here is y equals negative 3 over 2x plus 2. Are we okay with that? Now, the question is, how do I graph this? What's my y-intercept? 2. If you look at this, b is your y-intercept, and b here is 2. So my y-intercept is 2. How about my slope? What's the slope? Negative 3 over 2, right? So my slope is this, which is negative 3 over 2. So if you want to describe this with respect to rise over run, what do you say? Negative 3 over 2. So your rise is negative 3. What does that mean?
You go down.
You're going down 3
Over 2.
and over 2. Okay? You're always going to the right 2. To the right. Okay? So that means you're going down 3 to the right 2. So let's see how we're going to graph that. First, we're going to locate the y-intercept, okay, which we know it's 2. So let's locate the y-intercept, which is at 2. Y is which one, the vertical or the horizontal? Y is the vertical. Okay, so 2 at the vertical because that's my y-intercept, yeah? Okay, so eyes on me, and then you can graph in a second. Just look at me right now. I have to go down 3 to the right 2. So from that y-intercept, I'm going to count 1, 2, 3. and then I'm going to count 2 to the right, and this is where my next point is going to be. Graph it again. So, we know that the y-intercept is at 2. Are we okay with this? The slope is go down 3 over 2. You told me that, didn't you?
From that too.
From that. So, I'm going to go down 3, so that's 1, 2, 3. And then I'm going to go to the right 2. And this is where I'm going to end up. I will erase this. I won't keep this for my graph. This is just a visual for you guys. So, from this point, I went down 1, 2, 3. And then I went 2 to the right. 1, 2. Stop. I want to find another point. I'll do the same thing. From here, I'll go 1, 2, 3, and then 2 to the right. So I'm giving you directions here. I'm telling you, go down 3, 2 to the right. Are these 3 points lining up? Yes, they are. Okay? They're going to form a line, and this is the line that represents this equation. Do you guys see that? So, again, you start with the y-intercept, you go down, whatever your slope is. In this case, and we were going down. We're going to go down 3, and then we're going to go to the right 2. Then down 3, to the right 2. Are we okay with this? Which one? This one? So from this point, I went down 1, 2, 3, and then 2 to the right. Okay? Okay, she left. Are we okay with this? Yep. Let's look at another example. Okay, let's do one together. Okay, that's another, just grab a piece of paper and let's graph this together. So, first step, you're going to have to put it in y equals mx plus b format. Okay, so you want to isolate for y. To isolate for y, what do I have to do first? So I want to leave the negative 2y on this side. And what do I move to the other side? The 4x and the 6. So I'm going to leave the negative 2y here. And then I'm going to move the 4x to the other side. And I'm going to move the 6 to the other side. What happens when I move 4x to the other side? Negative 4x. How about the 6? Perfect. So you see that because they were pluses, they were addition, they were positive. When I moved them over, they became negative. What kind of operations between the negative 2y, the negative 2 and the y? What kind of operation do I have there? Multiplication. If I want to get rid of it, what do I have to do? Division. So if I bring it here, it's going to be y equal negative 4x divided by negative 2. And then negative 6 divided by negative 2. Okay? So to get rid of this, I have to divide by negative 2. Now let's try to simplify this. What's negative 4x over negative 2? 2x positive? Yes, because negative over negative is positive. How about negative 6 over negative 2? Positive? 3. Again, negative over negative gives me positive. Does this equation look like y equal mx plus b to you? Good. What's the slope? 2. The slope is 2. In this case, I don't have a run. What would my run be? 1. Any whole number is over 1. So, but I don't write over 1 because it doesn't make any difference. But technically, this is 2 over right? So that means I'm rising how much?
2.
And I'm running 1. So up 2 and then 1 to the right. What's my y-intercept? So where do I start? I start at 3 because this is where my y-intercept is. Okay? So y-intercept at 3. And then where do I go from there? Up 2 over 1. So up 2, so that's 1, 2 over 1. So this is where I have to end up. Yes? So up 1, 2 over 1. Can I give another point? Again, up 2. So 1, 2 over 1. If I want to do another point, 1, 2 over 1. They should line up, 1, 2 over 1. They should line up in a line. Okay? Are we okay with this? Okay, so I want you to take a minute. If it's already in slope y-intercept form, so if they already, actually that's exactly the first question. If you look at question 2a, it's y equals 2x plus 3. So we've already graphed that. So if it's already in the slope y-intercept form, you don't have to do any changes. It's already in the slope y-intercept form. But if it's like this, where it's in standard form or it's not in the slope y-intercept form, you have to rearrange your equation. Are we good? So I want you to work on question number 2.